Everybody, this is part two of doing a purchase agreement. Again, you log in through car.org, go to your transactions, access now transactions. Now, on the last video, it was doing the BRBC. I'm just logging in right now, so we should already have had the BRBC signed before we show properties, as we should all know. And since you already have a folder in zip forms, you just go back in there and you can do your purchase agreement. So office tests is how I named it. All forms. There should be only buyer's representation agreement and purchase agreement right here. So I'm going to open up the purchase agreement, RPA. And on this one, I'm just going to do, I'm going to go previous workspace, just for like a regular residential, no probate, nothing like that. A lot of it transposes over from the BRBC because I already filled it out. Joe Blow was the buyer. Some of my information was on here already. Buyer's representation agreement. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, let me scroll down. There we go. California residential purchase agreement. Okay, this is for a regular one. Simple. So date prepared is going to be today's date, which is going to be obviously after the BRBC was filled out. And then I'm going to put, since I believe I put an address in on the BRBC. I don't know why I did that. It doesn't have to, but on that one I did. But this already has the address. I just put the office address. City, Downey, County, Los Angeles, California 90241. APN number, very important. The APN number, look under title, your title sites. If you don't have a title site, get one. Let me know. I can show you how to sign up. I use Fluid, but for instance, the title on title is going to show the APN number, which is a legal description of the property, which is really the actual legal address. I'm just pulling up our office address one. Here's the APN number for our office, because that's the address that I put on here. Where are you at? Property facts. Should be here somewhere. More property facts. Oh, APN number right here. So you get it on title. Very important. Legal description. So that's where you put right here. APN. Boom. Seller's brokerage firm, buyer's brokerage firm. So this would be the other office information. So you can get it from the MLS, pretend office. And then they have their DRE number. And they're dealing with the seller only. And then the agent's information, which obviously you would know is pretend agent from the MLS. You can get it too, and they're going to have their own DRE number. So our number's on here. And then our information transposed over from the BRBC, but Real Consultants, we're dealing with the buyer only. Our DRE, 015-21526. And then me, I'm doing the offer, Devlin Doherty, 013-14423. Make sure these are checked. We're just dealing with the buyer. We're not doing any dual agent. We're just making it simple on this one. Purchase price, $1 million. Boom. If it's an all cash, we click all cash. If not, we do not. Close of escrow. Traditional 30-day escrows. I'm going to put 25 days, maybe to make our offer more attractive. If it's an FHA deal or something, you can't put like 14 days. Maybe if it was a conventional and we got an appraisal waiver, if we ran DU already, might be possible. But just putting 25 days, try to get the offer accepted. It's already defaulted 3 days. Expiration is 3 days after the buyer signature. Initial deposit. This is going to be our EMD. I would like to say food for thought. I put $20,000, 2 to 3% EMDs. In to make our offer look attractive. So, maybe 5 days less than the norm of close of escrow, and then our deposit, 20 grand. Let's say 2 to 3%. I think this thing right here, I could say 2 to 3%. Let's say on this one, 30,000, make it 3%. It's already here within 3 days to the right. It's going to be wired, so we don't take any checks. In the old days, what we would do is we would take the check written out to our office, and then we deposit it in a trust fund, and then we write the check to escrow. That is the old way of doing things. We don't even do that anymore. We we wire directly to escrow. Increased deposit, we're not going to get into that, so you don't need to learn about that. So for instance, the loan amount is going to be, to make it easy, they're putting 20% down, so the loan amount is going to be $800,000. It starts doing the math for you because we're putting 20% down, but we have 3% initial deposit. It's going to do the numbers of the balance of what they're going to have to come in with at the close of escrow. It's going to be defaulted as a fixed rate loan. If it was something different, adjustable, whatever, FHA, you check it right here, then different disclosures will pop up. But this is going to be a straight conventional 20% down deal. If it was FHA, it'd be, there's a little verbiage here, but it's not. Additional financing terms, there is going to be none. This is not like a second, 80-20 or something like that. No. It's going to be defaulted as primary. If it was an investment or second property, you'd have to put it in there because that is a material fact. Some people want to know, obviously, for the offers that could be a reason of why they might accept offers for only owner-occupied properties. G1, seller to credit buyer. This is not for our commission. This is for closing costs. So if I'm saying, hey, you know what? I want $10,000 for closing costs right here. Additional seller credit terms does not include buyer broker comps. This is not even the compensation one either, but let's just say this was for something else. I don't know. I don't want to say repairs, but something else it would go here other than maybe closing costs. Right here on G3 is where we're going to put seller payment for buyer's obligation for compensation. So we're asking the seller to give us our 2.5% that we have on our BRBC. And remember, like I said on the last video, your BRBC has to be at, you can't, like if our BRB says like 1% that the buyer's given us, we can't ask for 2.5 because we're going to have to show it. And that difference will be given back to the buyer's closing cost credit. So we're asking for 2.5%. Buyer compensation information. Buyer affirmatively represents at the time the offer is made. Buyer has written agreement with the buyer broker that is valid, covers the property, and provides compensation no less than the amount stated above. See, right here, he puts it in there. If it was cash, verification of cash deposit, defaulted, 3 days or whatever, but it's not. Verification of loan application, verification of down payment, it's all right here. Final verification of condition, so we have 5 days. It's defaulted, close of escrow to verify. Days prior to close of escrow, verify like for a walkthrough. Assignment, this is totally new. 17 days after acceptance, so I guess obviously you can assign loans or assign deals now. Loan contingencies defaulted at 17 days to get a full approval, everything is signed off. If you want to try to make it a little bit more attractive, maybe 15 days, but don't do that if it's like a FHA loan because it takes a little bit longer than that. Don't check no loan contingency unless it's a cash investment property that they don't care about anything. There's no loan. Appraisal defaulted at 17 days after acceptance that we're going to sign off on any contingencies. Appraisal continues based upon the appraised value at a minimum of purchase price, or, so don't put anything in there that's going to be like if people are going, oh, well, our person will pay $50,000 more than what it appraises for. Would not advise putting that there. So it's defaulted at 17 days. Do not do no loan contingency, again, unless it's a cash investment offer that doesn't bother them. Investigation of property, 17 days, or if you want to make it more attractive, like say 10 days. This is for you doing your home inspection, maybe going to the city, checking permits, whatnot. Should not take 17 days. So 10 days, maybe even 7 days. Shows that you're going to be on it to the seller, the listing agent. Informational access to the property, 17 days, 17 or I would say 10 days as well. Buyer's right to access property for information purposes is not a contingency, so this is just maybe if they want to keep going back and forth to it. Insurance, 17 days, probably should keep that there after acceptance. We're finding it's a lot harder to get, some properties are not insurable and or they had claims in the past, or maybe certain insurance companies aren't lending or insuring it, so keep it at 17 days. Review of seller documents, we have 17 days or blank after acceptance or 5 days after delivery, whichever is later. So technically the 5 days after they give it to us, we can say 17 days after acceptance, but they'd have to give us, probably the 12th day to give us the seller's documentation, but it gives us 5 days to look at it, right? Preliminary title report, also 17 days or 5 days after delivery, whichever is later. Common interest disclosures, maybe any other CC&Rs or whatnot, 17 days as well. US lease lien items, solar panels, gives examples right there. 17 days, that's on the sellers, right? Sale of buyer's property. Sale of buyer's property is not contingency unless checked. Click here. Very important if you check that, because if, say, your buyer is trying to sell their property, so we're letting the listing agent know that this is our offer, but based on us selling our property first or at the same time. So very important. And then right here, going back up to removal of contingency waiver, do not waive any contingencies unless it's an all cash offer with an investor who knows what they're doing, who wants the property. Okay, we advise against that if it's owner occupied. They shouldn't be doing that. Time of possession is upon recordation, or if something's worked out with the listing agent, put it right here. If the seller occupied, do we want the seller occupied or vacant units? We got to check on which one we want here. Occupied units by tenant or anyone other than the seller. Tenant occupied, that's a TOPA. That's if there's tenants in there. We got to have information on what that's another form that's going to pop up, but we will need information. That's something else. And ask me about that one. Seller delivery of documents 7 days after acceptance, which is funny because seller delivery documents 7 days, and then we have these up here contingencies. So basically within 7 days, they got to give us all this stuff. Sign and return escrow holder provision instructions, 5 days. Time to pay fees or ordering HOA documents, 3 days after acceptance. So if we have to pay, this buyer has to pay fees for CC&Rs and whatnot, boom, 3 days. Smoke detectors, 7 days after acceptance, install smoke detectors. That's on the seller. Evidence representative authority, 3 days after acceptance. That's a new one. I thought the buyer broker agreement would show the representation authority, but hey, we'll look into that one. Items included and excluded. Always put items that you want to make sure that they will be here. In the past, when I first started, I did not check these things, and lo and behold, a stove was not there when a deal closed, or a washer dryer. I ended up having to pay for things out of pocket. So make sure if they specifically want things that you note it here, so everybody's on the same page. Also, excluding items such as like sheds in the backyard or something. If they want it gone, put it in here, not like everybody at the end tries to say, oh, well, that's what I thought. No, it's what's on here. This is the contract. NHD reports, I would say seller, provided by, and then my NHD's a good company. Wildfire disclosure, depending on if it's in, I'm going to put seller. My NHD also, any disclosures for wildfire, put that in there. There's a website, ask me about it to see if the property is in a fire area. I believe it's calfire.com, but you can ask me about that one. Report, I put my termite report. I'm asking the seller to do a termite report. Seller. I'm also going to put my section 1 clearance. Sorry. I'm asking the seller for a termite report, a section 1 clearance. I'm asking the seller to make sure there's smoke alarms and water detectors. Government point of sale inspection reports. This one right here I got caught up on a while ago, or not too long ago, a few years back. I didn't check that off, and there happened to be a flip. They didn't do any permits on the property. My buyer knew about it, but I needed it in writing because we had some problems that were fixed after the fact. But this right here would be things such as when they say government, like city pre-sale reports, things that are wrong with the property. I put that in there. Escrow fee, I'm going to put each pay their own respective. And it's I put in here any reliable company. They're going to pick it anyway, even though There's, supposed to be negotiated, but owner's title insurance policy, that is going to be the seller. Title company, if different from escrow, okay, fine. Buyer's owner policy, well, since if it's a loan on there, the buyer has their own policy. This is the seller's paying for it because it's the seller ensuring that the property is free and clear of any encumbrances. County transfer taxes or fees, just put seller. City transfer, seller. HOA fee for preparing disclosures, if it's seller, if it's needed, the CC&Rs. HOA certification, buyer right here, HOA transfer fees, I would be seller as well, private transfer fees, fees or costs, anything else you want to put in here, home warranty, seller, to not exceed, look at the home warranty booklet, but I just put like $650. I put the Crest because Crest is giving us some, we get like a half off or something, $5,000 off if there's any claims on the property. So we use the Crest since Crest is our our errors and omission company. Buyer waives home warranty plan. I do not recommend that. If the seller's not paying it, then I recommend you paying it for them out of the commission. We can pay for it too, right? And any addendums right here, if it was tenant occupied properties, like I said, if there was, or probate, or if it was manufactured home, you start checking off, and then other forms start popping up. If it was a short sale, we haven't had those in a while. Court ordered stuff. I don't know if there was a septic well. You got to know this. Let's say you're dealing with a buyer in another area, let's say Victorville or something, that might have septic tanks. We need to have some disclosures on there. Wildfire disaster advisory, I'm just going to check that off. Statewide buyer seller's advisor, I'm going to check that one off too. It's not a probate. Everything else in black, you can read on your own. And then we can scroll down here. And title vesting, you could read this, print it out. And as I'm scrolling down, what I would do is I would print an example out. I'll give you an example. You can have it ready, and you can, so you can look at it while you, fill yours out. Signature of buyer, Joe Blow, date, print a name of legal authorized signer. That'd be if it was like a trust. That'd be a different story. Sellers are accepted subject to attached counteroffer backup. We don't need that right now. Seller signatures, that's their information. You can put the sellers from title, their information here. You can put their, looking at like through Fluid. And this is our information here. Boom, agent's information right here. You can get it from the DRE, their information. And escrow holder acknowledgement. We don't need this right now filled out. If they do need it filled out, because we don't even know what escrow is, we can fill it out after the fact that offers approved, or I'm sorry, accepted. Buyer's investigation advisory. It's all just has to be signed. Have your buyers look at it. There's basically advising them. Possible representative of more than one buyer. Maybe we do dual agency at the office. Maybe it's one of our listings. We're letting them know that. So we've signed that. And buyer's home insurance advisory. Big one right now. Getting insurance is kind of hard. Didn't know that. Have them sign that. Wire fraud. A lot of wire fraud going on. Have them sign that they know that. California Consumer Privacy Act Advisory Disclosure Notice. Have them fill it out as well. Wildfire. Have them fill it out. Statewide buyer and seller advisory. That's a bunch of 13 pages, 15 pages now. Shoot. Basically advising them of their rights. Buyer. It's the same one that's used for the seller as well. So they just have to sign at the bottom. And that is it, everybody. That is how we quickly get through doing a purchase agreement. Let me know if you have questions. I need examples and or, so you can have ready so you can write up your offer. Let me know if you have any questions on this purchase agreement.